This will be the approximate location of our frost-free hose bib that hopefully I can install in the next couple days so we have water out here. There's the lines going back to the meter. And I am standing directly centered over it. That is our path going back to the home site. To give you a reference, camper is right there, house, water line, and off through the forest we go. And some pesky roots to get out of the way. We'll try and dig this as straight as possible. I have a couple of curves in it because I wanted to leave some of those nice big trees, and then we'll have to curve back over to the home site, but with 1-inch PEX water line, it should be no big deal. We got this done today. Marked off 3 different entrances for driveways. Talked to the county, waiting on them to show up and tell us what'll be required and what they'll do, what we have to do, and then I'll decide what we do from there. Dad taking out stumps for the home goes. These trees will have to go. Those trees are going to go. There's our little fire that caught over the top of another stump that we're trying to burn out because it was massive. And there he's about got one out. Alright, here is the existing city water marks coming into the crappy meter base that I have to change out. And then we marked off, you can see them with orange and the stakes, approximate location of the new water line. So we'll dig a trench 2 foot deep right up through here, and I'll take you through the woods too on the path that we came up with for it. And these should be low enough that the backhoe can make it over. Time to play a little catch up with our videos here. Not too far off, but that is our brand new water meter that the city came out and installed because the other one was outdated and it was leaking from the bottom. So this is the new style that they wanted. A couple of bricks there to support it until I can get gravel in underneath it, and I've actually got a piece of culvert pipe I'll show you that I'm going to put around that and put a little gravel in and backfill it with gravel so that it is much stronger. But we do have the trench dug all the way. Last time it was about right there, give or take. Now we are over to where our yard hydrant is going to go, which is way over there, not in the woods but just close to it. Let's see, we got a nice 2 foot trench all the way back there, and that will continue on then to the house and the building site. For now, you can see the culvert pipe standing over there and the yard hydrant that I've been working on some of the plumbing, and I'll show you that in a separate video. Let's see, I was just getting to the point of unrolling our 3/4 inch water line here. I'll start at this end and I will unroll it all the way to that end and let it lay there in the sun and relax a little bit so it's a little bit easier to get to lay flat. I'll get back with you. This is the culvert pipe and the yard hydrant that I selected to go with. It is a 2 foot bury. The city where we live will sell us a stainless, or not a stainless, a cast iron sewer cap, water cap, that'll fit right onto the 18-inch pipe. This is just secondary culvert pipe from a metal culvert company. that was secondary, meaning it's been used before. I think we got that for like 20 bucks, so not too bad. I will cut it down. I'll probably cut about a foot off of it, or a little less, once it's in the ground, and I'll take that to just below grade so that the actual main cap that goes on there sits pretty level with the ground. Here's my funky little plumbing for now. I'm burying this underground, so I wanted some good fittings, and this is in line with the rest of our water line. So I had to go with the T right here so that it would come up and feed to our yard hydrant, which will supply my camper. It will also then go on, and I went ahead and spent up and bought a very expensive shutoff here. It's like $100 by itself, but that'll be very nice because the city wants to do any on and off at the meter themselves. So I put one in that will supply this T, which I have an end cap on now because I'm not doing the shop right yet, and that's just a push cap shark bite fitting. This is a Ford or McDonald compression fitting, so there's a stiffener that goes inside the blue pipe. It all goes into the brass fitting itself. This tightens down, and then this set screw actually puts serrated lines and tightens down onto this blue PEX so that there's no way that can slide out. This is a good strong fitting to put underground. You don't have to worry about it. They are expensive. Since we are running PEX, which is the plastic blue line here, that's it's non-conductive, so the city asked that for dig right and everything, we go ahead and run some copper tracer line with it. This is just something that I had laying around. It's more like a house type, but as long as they have one little strand of copper going the entire way, they will be able to tell where that water line is, so future people digging may not hit it. Approximately right here is where I'm going to go, right on the edge of the tree line. So I've got room back there to continue digging without anything getting into our water line, which I'll put a bag on it. That's what that plastic bag was. I'll duct tape that on there so that I don't have to worry about any debris getting into the water line. I will stand that PVC pipe, which I found in one of the old barns. I will stand that upright in this hole and gravel around it, and that will be the access point for that shutoff valve. And I'll show you how I do that later. It's kind of hard to see, but I also have a piece of C-channel inside that PVC pipe. That C-channel I will actually use as a stiffener for the yard hydrant, so it's not just standing there alone. I will use a post driver and put that into the ground, and our hydrant should stay. I'll put some pipe straps on it, and it should stay nice and firm for a long time. Here you can see I've cleaned up the hole for the meter base quite well. What I used, 3/4 inch male shark bite push in adapter. I would have used another Ford or McDonald coupling right there, but the company I was using is closed on Saturdays and Sundays, and the part that they gave me for another piece was not going to work. So at least this will be exposed if it starts to leak, which it shouldn't. It is rated for underground. I can get to it, and these are so easy to disconnect and replace that they're more expensive, but I absolutely love them. And that is that piece right there coming off of our main. And I will cut some U-shapes in that culvert so that it sits right down over that, get rid of that block, put some rock under it, and then it'll come up to ground height right in here. Water line will hook to the shiny part and run to our frost-free hydrant. Let's cover one common problem with PEX water line. It's great stuff, easy to use, but as one person, and it comes like I bought it in bulk, a 500-foot roll. Wait till you see this, and that's why I have the bricks here. Just another shot of it coming out of the coil as I back up. Nice thing is I can hook my arm around this whole thing and pull it backwards. I'm also a little beefy, so it makes it a little easier. Sometimes, like my wife, this water line in a hole would be bigger than she is. That would be a little tough as one person to do. Typically, a curled up mess, especially when working by yourself. Luckily, I can grab this whole line of 500 foot and walk it backwards to where I need it. And that way, as the sun hits that plastic, it'll relax out some, and I can keep getting the coils out so that I can leave the biggest bulk of the coil together for my future waterline running needs. Just another shot of it coming out of the coil as I back up. Nice thing is I can hook my arm around this whole thing and pull it backwards. I'm also a little beefy, so it makes it a little easier. Sometimes, like my wife, this water line in a hole would be bigger than she is. That would be a little tough as one person to do. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes or so. It's been sitting out in the sun. I'm going to try and get this on video. Hopefully it's going to work and show you what I'm talking about here. I'm trying to back roll this. Might have to do a little video editing. Now I don't really want it to get down in my hole because I have to put that tracer wire on it. And I'm basically going to do that throughout the entire line above ground. And that way when I drop it in the ground, I don't have to get down there and jack with it. Basically this entire water line will be done when I drop it in the hole. Stand by. Not bad for one-handed. Pretty good with my hose with one hand. Bad thing is it likes to find the hole. It might be inappropriate, but still kind of funny. I gotta pause this. Now I have my coil. Flip my screen here. Coil in the shade. Here's approximately where I want my frost free. Now the problem is all that coiled up hose is more than what I need for that whole area. So I've got it sitting out in the sun right now. That will help relax that plastic and it'll make it more malleable to my ministrations. I will go to the other end here in a little bit and I will start to back roll that. Basically, I'll be trying to uncurl it all the way down at the end, way down there by the house. And then when I do, and I've got it all laying pretty flat, then I'll show you adding the tracer wire. Now, you can see how much longer I really am now that the coil is out of that hose. I am still here holding my hose. I'm trying to get a little bit of a back bend into it so that when I put it into the hole, it sits straight with the fitting that I'm putting in. You can see after it being coiled up so much, it naturally still always wants to curl, but we'll let that little bit of sunlight sit on it. Like I said, it's only been 10 or 15 minutes of sunlight. And it helps, but it doesn't do it for you. It's still a lot of work. That's the miracle of video. Poof, now it's fixed. Yay. I didn't have to do anything. Master plumber here. And I try and back roll that so that it goes the opposite direction a good little ways. And then I unroll it. That way it bends it back, kind of breaks the back of it, softens up that plastic even more. And this should all coil right back up into that, so I can supply the house and barn later on. And then we are getting close. I'll pull this excess this way, leave it in the sun, get my tracer wire ready, and I'll be back and show you that. Here you can see, trying to video and unroll this with one hand. It's being kind of a booger, so that I can get it on camera for all of you to see. You're welcome for the pain in my ass. But I will go up here a little hung up. I don't really want to be down in that ditch, but you see how much the sun has relaxed it from up there to here to basically now. I can put that stuff, the tracer on it, and get it laid out right down into the ditch. I'm going to come up here and work some of these coils out because I've got too much line here. Alright, I've got a lot of the tracer wire on, which you can see my duct tape, thin black wire running right next to my water line. Here's a little bit of a rant about this. They don't pay for any of this, but they want you to do it and require you to so that they can find your water line. Here's the thing, from the meter on is all on the homeowner. It's, if there's a break, if there's anything, it's on the homeowner. It has nothing to do with the city, the county, or anybody else. It's just one more expense that they want you to go through so that they can find your stuff and you're more on the grid. So, if the house type wire doesn't work, it's copper. They said put something copper in there that they can energize and find it. If it doesn't work, oh well, it's on me anyway. So, I'll remember where I put the water line. And they're not paying for it anyway. So, a little bit further to go. And then I'll be ready to actually do my plumbing. Yay. Alright, what I've got here is this real fancy, high-tech tracer wire, which is basically, I think, some kind of house wire. I don't know, 14 wire, you know, just regular old, what would be in Romex, except it's in a bulk roll that I came across it somewhere on sale or something like that. And about every 10 feet or so, I've got to take this real fancy duct tape and put it on there, just like this, just so that it stays right there in line with the water line, the PEX line, because what they will do, the Dig Right professionals or the city, they can come out here with a little AA tester and they will energize that line, and then their depth gauges and their trackers can actually find all that stuff. If you've got any questions, leave a comment. Alright, I've got a lot of the tracer wire on, which you can see my duct tape, thin black wire running right next to my water line. Here's a little bit of a rant about this. They don't pay for any of this, but they want you to do it and require you to so that they can find your water line. Here's the thing, from the meter on is all on the homeowner. It's, if there's a break, if there's anything, it's on the homeowner. It has nothing to do with the city, the county, or anybody else. It's just one more expense that they want you to go through so that they can find your stuff and you're more on the grid. So, if the house type wire doesn't work, it's copper. They said put something copper in there that they can energize and find it. If it doesn't work, oh well, it's on me anyway. So, I'll remember where I put the water line. And they're not paying for it anyway. So, a little bit further to go. And then I'll be ready to actually do my plumbing. Yay. Alright, tracer wire installed. Yay. Duct tape to it. Only about every 2 or 3 feet when I get closer to my hose bib, because I don't want to be messing with a whole bunch of excess. Like right there, you can see dirt, clots, and roots and everything get hung up on that tracer wire, and it makes it just that much more fun to try and get down into the hole. You can see there I got a lot of roots and stuff sticking up, so of course my water line needs poked down in there. So I've got my handy dandy stick. I'll come up here so I don't have to jump down in the hole. Like I said, I'm a little beefy. I will just put that on there right there. try and push that sucker on around there. But you can see where it's bent right there. I'm actually gonna have to grab a hold of that sucker and hope not to fall in there. You can see I've about got it in all the way up there, and then I'll pull my excess back and I'll show you how easy this is to hook up at that end. Alright, so I got it past the heavy root by hand and crawling down there. Now I'll try and use my stick just to push both the tracer wire and the water line down in the hole. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just have to be able to run power to that tracer wire so that they can point in the general direction of the water line, which, if they would look up when they're at the meter, they would see that it runs in a straight line, for the most part, to an outside water hydrant, yard hydrant, hose bib. One more step. I'm going to pull the excess back and then I'll show you how to hook it up. So I'm coming back here to where my water line and tracer line is actually outside of the ditch. You can see way up there, just barely right up there where the tip of my finger is, that's where the hose is sticking out of the ground. And it's not real heavy, so I'm just going to grab a hold of both. I'm going to pull it this way so it drops down in the hole. I'll pull a little extra because it's easier to pull it this way and then feed it back as I need it. Sorry about the janky video there. Now to the other end, and I'll show you the hookup. Alright, you can see that I've got most of my water line pulled back. Still got a little extra tracer line here in the hole because I'll just leave it in there so they don't have to work as hard if they've ever got to come and trace it, you know, God forbid. So, but I'm going to show you the beauty of these push lock fittings, Shark Bites, whatever you want to call them. Depends upon the name brand. A little tough doing this all one-handed and trying to take video. What I'm going to try and do here is I've had this tape that came with the water line. I'm going to take that. I basically just wrapped that around there so that I wouldn't get any debris in my water line while I was uncoiling it and jacking with it all around. Nice little line cutter here, easily done one-handed, makes a nice straight cut. Pop that off right there, easy peasy. Take this end right here. I'm going to get my tracer line out of the way, line this up. Sorry, try and stay out of the, see how that went. Push it right in, lock it in. That's it. So the water line is hooked up down here at the meter. I just showed you how easy it was to push lock that in. My tracer wire is installed. It's all at the bottom of the ditch. Bear with my video as I walk that way, talk that way, walk that way. Just give me a kiss. Sorry. I will follow that on up and then I'll show you my next brilliant master plan, master plumber, master technician, but mighty nice person idea. Alright, so here I also forgot I increased the depth of my yard hydrant, so I actually have to pull just a little bit of this water line out, get my PVC and C channel out of there, and right there about where the C channel is laying in that 4-foot area, I need to dig that down to about 3.5 foot so that I have enough room to leach. Basically I'll put a bunch of rock so that on the weep fitting at the base of the frost-free hydrant, what makes it frost-free, it can actually leach back out into the ground in a pit of gravel, and then just past it I'll have the T that goes to the house and then to the shop, barn, garage, sales building, whatever you want to call it, hopefully after the first of the year. Okay, so this is my yard hydrant, hose bib, frost free, whatever you want to call it. I took this tape and everything that they had on here that said bury it 2 foot. Well, I actually moved it to the 2 foot mark and wrapped it around. And that is manufacturer specifications 2 foot from right here. On the other side of this, that is the weep hole that stays open. And that is how, when you get water from that end and shut it off, the water drains back down through the center of the pipe, leaks out in that hole, so that in the dead of winter you can have water and that won't freeze, because this part right here is all buried below the frost line. So here's where I had to get a little, you know, crafty. I had to increase my length. I had to put a Ford or McDonald coupling on right here, compression coupling. So I have compression or crush sleeves inside this blue pipe. They go up inside of this fitting right here. This will tighten down upon that with a rubber washer. This will tighten down with serrations on the inside of it with this set nut right here, and it'll actually cut into this blue pipe just a little bit so that it can't go anywhere. All so that I could take this male fitting right here into the base of my hose of my yard hydrant. Typically, the yard hydrant is terminated at the hydrant. I have it running in line to the rest of my house and shop. So this is where it'll come in from the meter, goes to the yard hydrant, comes along. I will bury a shutoff with a PVC pipe around it so that I have access to shut it off. Then it comes to another T that I have capped off that will go to the eventual shop. And then here it will go to the eventual house here in the next month or so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten all this good stuff down, make sure it's nice and tight, and then I'm going to take this extra little plastic bag here. I'm just going to duct tape it all over this end right here, just so that I don't get any dirt, debris, or anything in here as I backfill, or put gravel around it, so that when I dig this back up to hook up to the house or to hook up to the barn, it's nice and clean and ready to rock and roll. So as you can see, I had to back my hoe over the trench again so that I can come in here and clean out. A little flip of the screen. Clean out a leach pit. What a leach pit does is for that hydrant that I'm going to bury right there, I actually took it down to about 4 foot, and my water line's running about 2 foot. It's kind of hard to tell in the ditch here. Let's see, you can see where that plateaus off right there. That's approximately 2 foot. Goes down to about 4 foot by about 1.5 feet. Then comes back up to 2 foot. So what I'll do, since my yard hydrant needs a little extra length, I'll let it bend down in there a little bit. I'll put rock in the bottom of it, and I'll fill rock up to midpoint over that weep hole, and then I'll backfill the rest of it with dirt, and I will drive in that piece of angle iron C-channel. I'll drive that into the ground using a post driver and backfill it right there next to the hydrant, so that it gives the hydrant something nice and strong to hold on to, and it'll take years and years and years for that C-channel to rust out. So that's my leach pit right there for my yard hydrant. Okay, had to order rock for Monday, which I couldn't turn my water on today even if I wanted to, because the city told me that I need to call them. They want to come out and turn it on, even though it's just sitting there. So I did a little extra digging on the rest of the water line heading to the house. Got it to a good point. Looks like it's kind of snaking a little bit there, but I changed up where I'm going to run water into the home. So I had to realign myself right there. That's my marker saying I'm good at 2 foot. Straddle the ditch here. So then you go straight up, and then I'm actually going to go right in through there and then dip around that tree right there. Take you for a walk up there. So water will run pretty much the center of this, right down here, and about right here, we'll start to take a little bend, and I'll run right through these trees. One's dead here on my left, so not too worried about its roots. Dodge the roots of these trees here, into the left side of this opening, right in the middle of the two trees. Come right over into the opening for the home and bring water in. There's a side marker to bring water in right from the side. Then I'll have electric coming in from the back side. And then off of the left front corner, I will have the sewer going out, so none of my lines will actually cross. A couple days have gone by since I was able to get back to the water line because it rained its rear end off and everything just turned into a muddy mess. You can tell there's still water in the base of my leach hole, which is fine because that's what it's always going to do, is have water in it. Still a little bit of water in my ditch, still a long way to dig, but it's finally drying up. So I've got my water line cut my tracer wire. It's attached to the top there because I'll continue that on later. I've got a shut off that I will use that pipe for, and then I'll use a T-handle to shut it on and off. That way I don't have to call the city or anybody out to shut off the main if I need to. And then that duct tape is a T that will supply the future shop and building, and also the rest of the house shooting straight out this way in line with the rest of the water line. So I've got some other pictures taken of my yard hydrant that will attach, but hopefully they'll be here in the next little bit to turn on water and I can make sure I don't have any leaks. That post driver, I'm actually driving that C-channel in the ground to give me something to strap my hydrant to, just to make it stronger for longer. City came and turned on water way down there at the meter. Here's my yard hydrant. There is 8 or 9 foot of C-channel that I used the post driver. Drove it in 4 or 5 feet. Busted my hands up doing it, so it must be good. There, it's sitting right up next to it. I will get some stainless steel hose clamps, and I'll put about 3 of those on there. That is my shutoff, which I will use the PVC to make a riser for, and I'll actually cut horseshoes into both sides of the round here and cut a little U shape out of there, and that way it'll sit down over the pipe there. And that way I can reach that shutoff with a T-handle, just like what the city would use. And then there's the T that I've got there's plastic and then duct tape and everything around it so that no dirt, debris, or anything gets down inside of the lines. But here we go. This is the second time water has been on after the first initial test. Water in the hole. Yay. Shut that off. Nice snap, and that is the weep hole. That's how it stays frost free. So I'll have rock up to there so that goes PP into the rock, and then it will leach out into the ground there. And that way we will have water in the middle of winter without it freezing up. Yay! Here is our frost-free bib with the C-channel driven in the ground to help support it. The riser behind it is for a shutoff that'll be in line that will go to shutting off the house and the shed or shop. That way I don't have to hit the city main. Maybe a little bit more rock there than needed, but that is the leach pit. We shouldn't have any problems due to manufacturer, what I saw, what I read, what I found online. I use some old barn wood here to just shore up my trench a little bit because right there is where my water line is teed off and ready to go to the shop and to the house. I didn't want to have to dig all that back out, so I left that all right there, and I will backfill all of that, but then hopefully I will be able to leave this open and easily accessible so that I can tie my water line in to the house when I'm ready for it. So, yard hydrant. Booyah. Here we go. First little bits. Little bits. Backfill. I'll go up to that end piece where I've got to work that culvert pipe in. I want to cut a bunch of those stumps out. But, see, water line is getting covered. I'll be able to walk across here comfortably again, kind of comfortably. And it's going to have to be tamped down and everything else, so booyah. Nice, eh? Going to move the truck and get back up. Getting closer and closer. Getting ready to push that dirt. Because as far as backfill goes, it's going pretty good. Falling right on in the hole. Now this will settle down a lot. So I'm going to try and berm it up right on top of the hole and drive on it as much as possible with the backhoe without getting stuck. You can see I've already crossed the ditch here, crossed the ditch over there. Didn't have a lot of dirt over there, but she held up. Getting this backfilled here. I'm gonna have to get the rake and all that good stuff and feather all this out and try and get a hump right there. You want it built up so that as it settles down, it'll settle out, hopefully level. If it never goes back to level, you generally always have to put some more dirt on it, but I'll just dig something up back in the back when I pull some roots and throw that on top when it's time. Booyah, water line installed on this backfill. City came and turned on water way down there at the meter. Here's my yard hydrant. There is 8 or 9 foot of C-channel that I used the post driver. Drove it in 4 or 5 feet. Busted my hands up doing it, so it must be good. There, it's sitting right up next to it. I will get some stainless steel hose clamps, and I'll put about 3 of those on there. That is my shutoff, which I will use the PVC to make a riser for, and I'll actually cut horseshoes into both sides of the round here and cut a little U shape out of there, and that way it'll sit down over the pipe there, and that way I can reach that shutoff with a T handle just like what the city would use. And then there's the T that I've got all, there's plastic and then duct tape and everything around it so that no dirt, debris, or anything gets down inside of the lines. But here we go. This is the second time water has been on after the first initial test. Water in the hole. Yay. Shut that off. Nice snap, and that is the weep hole. That's how it stays frost free. So I'll have rock up to there so that goes PP into the rock, and then it will leach out into the ground there. And that way we will have water in the middle of winter without it freezing up. Yay. Here's a little preview for the love of my life, so that she doesn't think I've been out running around and actually put a water line in, all that jazz. See, way down in there? Nope. Otherwise you'd see a shut off. My shore box is holding that old barnwood. I'm surprised. I backfilled this part by hand because I wanted to tamp it in by foot. And we're going full blast this time. Oh, I hear it. I hear it. Look, baby. Look here, mama. Oh, yeah. H2O. A little dirty. Been capped off for 20 or 30 years, so we're letting that sucker run a while. I love you. Now that's nasty. That is being buried for years and years. Move that up to the light. I didn't know we had a Gatorade fountain, Daddy. Oh, it's okay, guys. Go ahead and take a drink. Oh, no pressure. Oh, yeah. Make it rain. Good pressure. Not too shabby. That's what I'll be taking a shower in tonight. Probably a little cold. I don't know if I'll be any cleaner because of the color of that water. Yeah, we'll see. It needs to run. A lot of sediment in there. It's getting clearer now. More pressure. Goodness. Ooh, make it rain! I'm at the club. Come on.